Very good afternoon to all of you. So, I'm audible, online students? Online students, I'm audible. Okay, please. So, there are two types of students in the class right now. Those who are about to write mains, and there are few students who has maintained the courage, even if they have not, trusting the process that anyhow you have to prepare. Okay. And there are students who have already written the mains last year, right? So this will going to be a fast forward revision of the things, and we're going to emphasize and focus a lot on the answer writing practice. Meanwhile, if you have doubt in any of the topic, you have some always it is like this, that despite we have completed the syllabus, there are few doubts in our mind. So you can ask your doubts meanwhile during the discussion. So what will how I'm going to take the classes is that a quick overview of the topic, then all the questions which are will do few questions which are related to that topic. Okay. So the test which you have to give might be by the time you will going to give your test, we will not be able to complete all the topics by that time. But as you have already prepared, hopefully you will be able to write those tests. So these classes will going to be a sort of quick revision, and from my best of the abilities, what I have learned, I'm trying to give you that how you can frame better answers, few inputs from my side that probably you are missing on these aspects, and you could have added these aspects which will help you to score more. Okay. So you are well aware of this. Paper 1 a bit static, and paper 2 is a lot more dynamic. But still there are a lot of things which we are going to do in paper 1 which I think and I hope will help you to add value to your answers. Okay. Those who have given mains, you gave your mains for the first time last time. What was the biggest challenge you faced? In PSIR or in general? Completing the paper. So completing paper is the biggest challenge, and other than why we are not being able to complete the paper on time, what is the biggest reason for this? I think that not having the complete content in our mind. So if we have a consolidation of content, if we have all the points in our mind, only then it is possible to complete answer in those 6-7 minutes. Okay. So we need to work on this aspect, that everything should be in our mind, and we'll be able to frame good answers with better structures, right? Not possible in PSIR, but wherever it is, like in GS and all, I guess those who have attended GS classes with me, I told you about this, that few mnemonics you can create for yourself which will help you to frame answers quickly, and this will going to impart a lot of good structure to your answer also. Okay. Like so just starting the class with this thing, that how you can create these mnemonics wherever it is possible. Okay. So you can do this thing in PSIR paper 2 also, and you can do this thing a lot in your GS paper. For example, if I'll ask you that what are the major reasons for high violence in Northeast? What are the reasons for insurgency in Northeast? What you will say? Arjun, na? Ayush. What are the reasons for high violence and insurgency in Northeast? Ethnic. Okay. एक सेकंड. Cultural diversity. Porous borders. Shivani. Geographical issues, lack of connectivity, hazard prone region. Okay. So this will come to this aspect later. And those who have done the GS with me, how I told you how you should frame answer for this question. For any of these such issues, let's say in paper 2 also, the moment you see a question, how you should think is, see, one thing is knowing the content, other thing is imparting structure. So you are going to write an answer like this, that reasons for violence or reasons for high violence or insurgencies, these are the reasons which you have said. Just you will write this. GPS, technology. Okay, this will help you to impart structure to your answer. Always think first historical factors. Are there any historical reasons for this issue? What are the historical reasons for high violence in Northeast? British policy of isolation. So when we are discussing paper, when we are writing an answer in paper 2 regarding, let's say, India, US or something, India, Pakistan, first always try to touch the historical aspect. Always touch the historical aspect. When we are saying history, for IR, history starts from what? Our independence, from 47. So I hope you have prepared your IR notes for paper 2 in this aspect, that we have 3 phases of our ties with every country. One phase is 47 to 90. Second phase is post 90. If you see this, from 90 onwards, we have gone for what? Complete overall of our foreign policy. Till 90s, we were pursuing which kind of foreign policy? Neighborhood first policy. And we were pursuing neighborhood first under which principle? Panchil. Post 90s, we changed the foreign policy of ours from neighborhood first to something else? No, we stick to neighborhood first, but now the doctrine being changed from Panchil to Gujarat doctrine. So earlier it was Panchil, 5 principles of peaceful coexistence. Now it is Gujarat, in which we decided we will not going to follow any reciprocity in our ties. So always first we'll touch history, then geography. So geographical factor. So in Northeast insurgency, first you'll write historical factor, British policy of isolation. Okay, impacted its integration with the rest of the mainland. Geographical factor, as you said, hazards, connectivity, porous borders, everything will come under which factor? Geographical factors. Then socio-cultural factors, wherever you can fit in these factors. High diversity, socio-cultural factors. Then political factors. Okay, for any issue, there will going to be political factors. Then technological and economic factors. So there cannot be any question which can go beyond the scope of this particular discussion. So anything, once you start thinking that how you need to frame an answer, think about what? Historical factors, geographical factors, political factors, socio-cultural factors and economic factors. Okay? So wherever you can prepare these kind of mnemonics to frame an answer for your question, it will impart better structure. With the same content, it will impart better structure. You will have more points to reflect in your answer. Okay? So first aspect of answer writing is this, that how we are going to represent our content in the best possible way. Our answer should look good. Okay, and it is only possible if we are imparting structure. Second aspect of our good answer is connectivity, integration. Integration of the things. Like second aspect of our good answer other than structure is, when I say integration, again I am coming back to the same question, insurgency. What can be the best conclusion for the answer for this what can be the best conclusion for this question of insurgency? The best answer or the best conclusion for this question can be that under India's Act East policy, we have decided the development of Northeast is one of the main priority. So we are linking what? Someone needs to switch off the mic. We are linking our internal security with what? International relation? Yes. Now, if we are writing something on India-US ties, yeah, India-China ties, okay, are we going to use the theories which are there in international relation while framing an answer for this question? If we are writing something on UN, critically analyze the relevance of UN in the contemporary times. This can be a question in your GS and this can be a question in your optional. If you have to write in GS, do we going to use the theories of IR while framing an answer in GS? No. How will start? A bit of introduction of UN. The grounds on which UN is criticized, I don't think so I need to tell you this. Despite criticism, these are the grounds why we are saying UN is relevant, and conclusion is that UN will remain relevant till the time there is no third world war. This is the GS answer. How to frame this in optional? Intro, then who is one of the most vocal supporter of international organization and supranational bodies? Liberals. Who will say that international bodies will redundant and state will never compromise on their sovereignty and they will keep pursuing power politics? Realist. Whose endeavor was first? It was whose endeavor to change the structure of the world politics by creating a supranational body, change the concept of balance of power to collective security? Idealist Woodrow Wilson. Then came whom? Liberals. Then came whom? Realists. Can any other theory also come in the answer of UN? Social constructivist. They believe in both power and cooperation. ठीक है ना? According to them, General Assembly represent what? Cooperation. But Security Council represents what? Power politics. So हम ये सारी बातें include करेंगे या नहीं? Yes. So this is the thing we need to keep in our mind while framing our answers in optional, that how much integration we can impart to our answers. More connected we will write, better it will be. ठीक है? Another last aspect of answer writing which I have learned from my experiences, which I have already shared with the students of my batch. Weber, you are audible. Is what kind of conclusions we need to write? Your conclusions should reflect what? Wherever possible. Optimism. Your conclusions should reflect your optimism. Your conclusions should project you as a progressive individual. Your conclusions should reflect you at max a radical individual, but you should never sound conservative. You should never sound regressive in your approach. If you need to better understand, you too, quickly I can tell you this because it will help you a lot. That, and this will help you further also in future in your interview stage, is when we say interview is a test of personality. And when we are saying what kind of personality UPSC is looking forward to, what instruction is being given to the board members that we need which kind of people in civil services? Progressive. Who are progressive? There are two types of people, satisfied, dissatisfied. You can be satisfied with UN or you are dissatisfied with UN. Are you satisfied with the functioning of UN or you are dissatisfied? Dissatisfied? You are dissatisfied with UN. Is it mean UN redundant? Despite this, it is not. Even if you have a strong belief it is, you will never going to write this because your government is aspiring for permanent membership. In future, probably you have to serve in UN as an IFS officer. So can you afford to write UN is redundant? No. So you are optimist about UN. What is your optimism? Bring India in UN as a permanent member. Give us veto membership. We will change the face of UN. And this is what you are looking forward to. And this is what you want to project yourself. If you have to write an essay on the problems in India, can you write that? Yes. Are we interested in problems or solutions? Can you provide solution? So your conclusion should reflect what? Someone who is open for imparting solution. Those who are satisfied, progressive, optimists, they are progressive. Now let's link it with our philosophers. So satisfied optimists are progressive. Dissatisfied optimists are radicals. You are not satisfied, but you still hold optimism about future. You still hold optimism about life. What kind of individual and personality you are? A radical being. Thick. You are satisfied, but you are pessimist. Which kind of people, what do you think comes in this category? Those who are satisfied with the things but does not want any change in future. Conservatives. Old ages. Old age कैसी होती है? Conservative. Youth कैसा होता है? Progressive, radical. So can you come across as a personality in interview and in mains sounding conservative? No. You should reflect progressive or at max radical. Now, what do you think? What kind of personality Plato holds? Shivani. What kind of personality Plato is? Plato is progressive. Yes, he is very progressive because he is open for the idea of philosopher queen. Which other aspect of Plato reflects that he is progressive and he is radical too? So first thing, it was his idea was beyond his time, was not, of supporting the education of the girls and coming up with the idea of philosopher queen. It was the radical idea of his time or not? So he was radical. Any other idea of him which reflects him radical? Communism. Third thing, he was against democracy and he stood for the rule of philosopher king. All these things project Plato as what? Radical, progressive. Where we can keep Aristotle? Conservative. Why we are saying Aristotle is conservative? Because he was ready to protect the institutions. He was protecting the institution of property, and Plato was against the institution of property. He was protecting the institution of slavery, तो आपको याद है, and Plato was against this. So he was changing. He is trying to bring radical change in the society of his time or not? Yes, but Aristotle is trying to protect the institutions and the existing institutions. This make Aristotle conservative and this make Plato progressive or radical. ठीक? There are people who are dissatisfied and they are pessimist also. They are regressive. इनको regressive कहते हैं. Regressive being. They are never satisfied and they are pessimist also. To these people only Prime Minister Modi in Parliament said आंदोलन जीवी. ये क्या लोग हैं? ये आंदोलन करते हैं. You as a officer trying to bring change. Trying to bring change means you are challenging the status quo. If you will challenge the status quo, it will impact the interest of few in that particular district, in that particular region. So they will come and protest. Government came up with what? Farms law. We have seen huge protests. If you ask these people, okay, you give us some better suggestion, they will run away. They only do the politics of protest. So they are considered as regressive, and extreme regressive take the path of violence, naksats. So you can't afford to be in this particular quadrant during the interview, but that is about the interview thing. But in mains, your answers should reflect what? Your progressive attitude, your progressive personality. That's why conclusion should always be optimist. Okay, pragmatic optimist. ठीक है ना? Not utopian, right? Plato's state sounds utopian, right? Now, all of you have revised Plato. What we are going to discuss today is Plato, Aristotle, Machiavelli, Hobbes, Locke, and we are going to do questions related to these philosophers. And tomorrow it will be Mill, Marx, Gramsci, and Hanna. So, any question you have in your mind related to Plato? अगर आपके दिमाग में कोई क्वेश्चन हो तो पूछो, अदरवाइज आई विल आस्क. जल्दी जल्दी से. Okay, so his quote, reality is the shadow of idea. Last year there is a question, theory of idea and theory of forms. You guys were able to attempt it properly? You didn't attempt that. Kanika? Shivani, sorry. वो attempt नहीं किया था? You don't remember? Okay. I'll give you a good note today on that particular, because sometimes UPSC do repeat the questions. Okay? So first thing is his theory of idea. Plato is idealist. यार ये पढ़ाई कौन से वर्जन है ये पीपीटी का? Plato is idealist. Why we are saying Plato is idealist? No, because he believed idea is real. Because we, in this subject, we divide or we differentiate scholars and philosophers on two grounds. One is idealist materialist and second idealist realist. Those who believe idea is real, they are idealist. Those who believe matter is real, they are materialist. When we differentiate on the basis of power politics, that ethics to be followed in politics, they are idealists. And those who say means does not hold any importance, goal is important, there is no place of ethics and religion in politics, they are realists. Who is father of realism? Machiavelli, right? Now, Plato's theory of idea comes from Socrates' theory of knowledge. You all know this. We are not sure that whether Socrates was a real figure or not. We come to know about Socrates from the writings of Plato. We come to know about Socrates from Plato's book Republic. Okay. So, Plato's theory of idea comes from Socrates' theory of knowledge. Socrates was the first person who said knowledge of idea is superior to knowledge of matter. This is his theory of knowledge. What is important? Knowledge of idea is superior to knowledge of matter. So from his theory of knowledge, Plato has given his theory of idea. Okay. Physical world has two parts. Sorry. This world has two parts. One is the physical part, one is the spiritual part. Socrates becomes the father of philosophy. Socrates is father of philosophy. There is a unit in our syllabus also, that is political theories. Okay, theory and approaches, meaning and approaches. What is the meaning of world? What is the meaning of world philosophy? Ayush, what is philosophy? Philosophy comes from the word Sophia. Sophia means knowledge. मेरी पानी की bottle दे देना. It means love for knowledge. But what is the difference between the word philosophy and ideology? What is the difference between these two words? If you have to differentiate. Revise करके आइए या नहीं? Revise भी तो करना है ना इन classes में. What is the difference between these two words? Both are ideas. Giving idea is doing philosophy. Giving idea is might be giving ideology. When you are giving an idea with the objective to acquire power, this is ideology. Detached idea is philosophy. ये याद रखना. Okay, politically motivated idea is ideology. When someone is giving idea without the inherent objective to acquire power, this is philosophy. Who said that? Plato might aspiring to become philosopher king. Karl Popper. And the moment Popper is analyzing the work of Aristotle with the inherent objective to acquire power, this turned Plato into what? Ideologue. So there can be a question mark on the sanctity of Plato's work, that whether Plato is really a philosopher or not. But it is Popper who for the first time has raised the question on the works of Plato. But we are in the habit and in the spell of accepting Plato as a genuine philosopher who left politics for the sake of knowledge. ये आपने लिखा हुआ है आपके notes में. I hope. So Plato's theory of idea comes from Socrates' theory of knowledge, in which he said reality is the shadow of idea. Reality is the shadow of idea. In this quote, reality is the shadow of idea. Here, reality means what? World of matter. Yes. Reality, matter. So in this quote, here reality means matter. Okay. Plato is saying reality is the shadow of ideas. What you are seeing is not real. Real is something else. And this he has tried to prove it through the allegory of cave, where he said there are people who are tied, they are seeing reflections, but they will keep believing that reflections are real, right? So reality is the shadow of ideas. So what you are seeing is not real. Reality is something else. And who can understand that reality? One who has reason. So soul born with three elements, that is reason, courage, appetite. Not all souls are equal. In some there is a high element of reason, in others there is a high element of appetite. They are man of gold, gold, silver and bronze. ठीक? So only who can understand such idea, that who can understand this is not reality, reality is something else? Philosopher king, because his soul is a soul of reason. Clear? How to find philosopher king? Theory of education. How to make sure that despite we have found the philosopher king, that person should not turn corrupt? Theory of communism. So who can understand what is reality? One who has reason. Who has reason? Philosopher king. How to find education? Make sure he should not turn corrupt? Communist. And only he can create a just state. What is justice according to Plato? Aditya, what is justice according to Plato? Okay. What is justice according to Plato? Huh? Arey, what is justice? Functional specialization and non-interference. Everyone doing their duty based on the element of soul. Okay. So what is just state? Where everyone is doing their duty. Even philosopher king is sacrificing. Okay, it's love for knowledge. He is a symbol of knowledge and sacrifice. And philosopher king is ready to govern the state as a duty. Okay. So what is justice according to Plato? Functional specialization and non-interference, right? Now, why according to Plato everyone should pursue their duty? Why according to Plato everyone should pursue their duty? नहीं, what is the reason for the obligation towards state? यही question है. What you have given is you have rephrased the question itself. अरे यार, why everyone will agree to do their duty? Why everyone should do their duty? What is the reason for the political obligation towards the state? For harmony and happiness. The soul of the individual cannot be happy if you defy state. And for this he has quoted which example? That Socrates was aware that his position is right, but despite that he agreed to drink poison. So soul of the person will never be satisfied if you defy the state. So for the satisfaction of soul you should do your duty. Can you see soul? We can't see soul, and he is telling why you should do your duty for the satisfaction of soul. What is the reason for political obligation according to Aristotle? ध्यान से सुनो मैंने क्या पूछा है. What is the reason for the political obligation according to Aristotle? Huh? What is the reason for political obligation according to Aristotle? Because man by nature is a social political animal, and only who can live without state? God and beast. And state fulfill all your needs. So why we should follow state according to Aristotle? Because it fulfill needs. Needs are materialistic or not? Needs are materialistic or not? Yes. And that is why Aristotle is both idealist and materialist. That's why Aristotle is pragmatic. According to Plato, who is man of reason? Who is man of reason? Where reason lies? In soul. Can we see soul? Soul is an idea. For Aristotle, who is man of reason? For Aristotle, who is man of reason? One who has property. Property is materialistic or not? So he is what? Pragmatic, both idealist and materialist. So who is one of the critic of the theory of idea or theory of forms of Plato? Aristotle. So Aristotle has imparted a criticism to the theory of idea of Plato. Okay, according to Plato, everything lies beyond world. For Aristotle, no, everything do not lie beyond world. To understand idea, you look into matter. For Plato, to understand idea, where you have to look? Beyond this world. And who can understand this? That soul only, philosopher king. For Aristotle, who can, to understand idea, where you have to look? Into matter. So where Aristotle is looking, that what is the reason to follow the state? Needs of the man. Where Aristotle is looking, that who holds reason? Property of the man. Who are masters? Those who have property. बात समझ में आई या नहीं? लग नहीं रहा मुझे. पक्का ही? लिखना जरा आइए तो. So all of you should come in the class after revising the things, only then it will help you more. ठीक है ना? Or those who are preparing for next and next year, you are free to enjoy and relish the classes. ठीक है? लिखो. Why Aristotle is being considered as a pragmatic scholar? Why Aristotle is being considered as a pragmatic scholar? Pragmatic means both idealist and materialist. I told you why he is known as materialist. Tell me why he is known as idealist. Why is known as idealist? एक second please. Why Aristotle is considered as idealist? मैंने materialist तो बता दिया. Why he is seen as idealist? Though you don't have to write this in the exam, but still, if I ask, why he is seen as idealist? हाँ हाँ तुशाला बोलो.
So because he has not separated ethics and politics.
One thing very good, he has not separated ethics from politics. This is the reason. But here we are, one thing is this. Second, he believes in Socratic tradition that whole is more important than part. Okay, whole is more important than part. And he believes in organic evolution of the state. There are idealists believe in theories of state. Theories of the origin of state, they are not in our syllabus. There are multiple theories for the origin of the state, that is organic evolution of the state. Idealists believe in organic evolution. Okay. Then divine theory of the origin of state. State is created by God. Hegel believes state is a march of God. So idealists either believe in divine theory or they believe in organic theory. Because he believed in organic theory of the origin of state and he believed we should not separate ethics from politics. This makes Aristotle idealist. Thick. Then other theory of the state is contract theory. Who believes in the contract theory of state? Hobbes, Locke, Rousseau. And they are liberals. So liberals believes in what? Contract theory. Who believes in force theory? Marx. That state is an instrument of capitalist bourgeois class. So there is divine theory, there is organic evolution, idealist belief. Contract theory is the belief of liberals, which is in our syllabus, and force theory given by Marx. And both Marx and Gandhi believe in state-less society, and that's why both are seen as anarchists. One has given the path or way forward violent means, other has given the path of non-violence. ठीक है? लिखो, जल्दी से लिख लो. According to Plato, idea exists independent of this world. Idea exists independent of this world. That is, idea is independent of matter. That is, idea is independent of matter. वैभव स्विच म्यूट कर लो अपने आप को. That is, idea is independent of matter, full stop. However, for Aristotle, there is nothing outside this world. So all the ideas of Aristotle which Aristotle has given, he is deriving his ideas from where? Matter. How we can say that? ताकि आपको याद रहे. All the ideas which Aristotle is deriving these ideas from where? Matter. Okay, for him, where is reason? In property, and property is what? Matter. So he is deriving this thing that who holds reason? Those who has property. How he is giving theory of constitution? By reading the constitutions, that is matter. And according to him, which is the best form of government? Polity is the best form of government. ठीक है? However, for Aristotle, there is nothing outside this world, and idea is not independent of matter. In fact, idea is present in the matter itself. In fact, idea is present in the matter itself. Full stop. Thus, according to Aristotle, we cannot ignore the physical world we cannot ignore the physical world. Just considering it as the world of illusion. World of illusion. Next bullet point. While Plato is considered as the father of political philosophy? Considered as father of political philosophy, as he established that the real world is the world of ideas. And philosophy is the ultimate source of knowledge. While Aristotle is known as the father of political science. Because of the importance he has imparted to the world of matter. Is imparted to the world of matter. So what this makes Aristotle is a pragmatic scholar. ठीक है. Any doubt you have on any of the topic of Plato? नहीं. ठीक है. फिर लिखोगे का आंसर? लिखो. One can either be Platonic or non-Platonic. Yes, it is the question. One can either be Platonic or non-Platonic, but never be aplatonic. Comment. How you will comment? How you comment and which scholars will come in this particular answer? पॉपर आएगा. उससे पहले कौन आएंगे? एमर्सन आएगा. और कोई आएगा? व्हाइट हेड आएगा. सो व्हाइट हेड आएगा, एमर्सन आएगा और पॉपर आएगा. Whitehead and Emerson will come to substantiate this, and Popper will come as a critic to it. ठीक है ना? What has been said by Emerson? Plato is philosophy and philosophy is Plato. What has been said by Whitehead? Entire Western philosophy is the footnotes of Plato. Okay. So these two statements clearly reflect the position which Plato holds in the Western political philosophy. ठीक. और इसमें क्या लिखेंगे? It was Plato who clearly reflected through his theory of idea that study of idea is superior to study of matter. ठीक है. ये पॉइंटर आप ऐड कर सकते हो. He through his theory of idea and form. After writing this, what Emerson said, Plato is philosophy, philosophy is Plato. What Whitehead said, entire Western philosophy is the footnotes to Plato. And then Plato through his theory of idea reflected that study of idea is superior to matter. And it was he who for the first time has given the idea of ideal state. One line which you can keep with you is Plato, through his work, Plato through his work showed that the knowledge of philosophy can be used for the service of humanity. Can be used for the service of humanity. Okay. What was Plato's what conclusion Plato came to? That what led to the downfall of Athens? Corruption. So we say that his diagnosis was right, but his recommendations are wrong. So his diagnosis was that corruption is the root cause of the downfall of Athens, and this we can link it to the present scenario and the situation, that the biggest threat for the security of the country is corruption. ठीक है ना? So even his writings and what he said holds valid in the contemporary times, that corruption is the biggest threat for the security of the state. ठीक है ना? And same analysis was done by Kautilya too, right? So हमेशा इसमें नाम किसका आएगा? पॉपर का. That his greatness was acknowledged not even by his supporters but by his critics. Who is the biggest critic? Popper. And it was he who said one can either be Platonic and non-Platonic, but cannot be non-Platonic. ठीक है ना? So this answer cannot be more than 150 words. What are the grounds on which Aristotle has criticized Plato? What are the grounds on which Aristotle has criticized Plato? हाँ जी. First thing, his theory of philosopher king criticized by Plato. Oh, sorry, criticized by Aristotle. Plato has stood for the rule of a person, while Aristotle has stood for the rule of law, and law is reason without passion. This quote, law is reason without passion, he is giving to counter or criticize which quote of Plato? No ordinance is mightier than the knowledge. This quote is given by Plato to justify his rule of philosopher king. Okay, no law or ordinance is superior to knowledge. In counter, Aristotle has said law is reason without passion. There is another quote given by Aristotle to counter or criticize the theory of philosopher king of Plato. That is very good. Okay, ये तो बिल्कुल ठीक है. That leader has to be worldly wise rather than the world of ideas. This reflects Aristotle believes in common sense, that leader has to be worldly wise. There is another quote that is law is the collective wisdom of ages, and that is authority of statesman is different from the authority of father. लिखो एक quote, authority of statesman is different from the authority of father. So those who have done it with me, they are well aware of, I hope they can frame an answer for this. Authority of statesman is different from the authority of father. I want to ask from the others, have you heard about, are you aware of this quote, authority of statesman is different from the authority of father? Nahi. In the back, have you heard this quote, authority of statesman is different from the authority of father? In which context Aristotle has given this? Statesman is different from the authority of father. अच्छा, एक आंसर करो. Plato is treating the people of its state, that is the ideal state, as its citizens or as its subject? Plato is treating the people of its state as its citizens or as its subject? Subject. Why? क्योंकि पहले सब कह रहे हैं. हाँ, फिर why, how, on what ground we can say Plato is treating them as subjects? But that does not make them subjects, because they do not have any rights. They only have to do duties, and citizens are entitled for rights. ठीक है ना? So that is why Plato is treating them as subjects. Now here this quote is given by Aristotle. This quote is the criticism of the theory of philosopher king of Plato, where Aristotle is saying that within a family, authority of father can be supreme, but within a state, there cannot be a single authority. Authority of statesman is different from the authority of father. So what he is saying, that within a family, the authority of father can be supreme. So how Aristotle is sounding you, progressive or conservative? Aristotle is sounding conservative, and he is sounding patriarchal or not? Right? So with this quote, he is also separating personal from political. That in the personal sphere, whose authority is supreme? Father's authority is supreme. But in political sphere, there cannot be a supreme authority, and there needs to be a rule of law, because the authority of statesman is different from the authority of father. ये बात समझ में आई या नहीं? अब, so he is separating personal from political. Now, who do not want state to interfere in the personal sphere? Liberals. Liberals do not want state to interfere in the personal sphere. And who wants state to interfere in the personal sphere? Later. Personal is political. That women do not face exploitation in the public sphere. First exploitation is going on within the personal sphere. Okay, if all families are not the institutions of altruism. There are power politics and exploitation of women is going on within the family, and that is why feminists are the biggest critic of whom? Aristotle. And who demanded personal is political? हेरोल. ठीक है ना? तो ये नहीं है आपके पास. Authority of statement is different from the authority of father. This note, I'll give you the, on the group I'll share it, the screenshot. ठीक है? So this statement, मैं एक काम करता हूँ, आप लोग पढ़ ही लो, और पढ़ के आप बताओ इसमें कोई डाउट आता है तो. पढ़ो एक बार सर. You are not in the group. Just ping me on WhatsApp. You guys can join. तू भी नहीं है तो पिंग करना फिर. फ्री हो गया पीछे लड़के. कोई नहीं, बाद में बता दियो. हाँ आया नहीं. अच्छा मैं भेजता हूँ, 1 मिनट. पढ़ लिया? दोबारा भेजूं? अरे बाद में कर दूंगा. लो क्लियर है नोट? ठीक है. So Aristotle has criticized Plato theory of philosopher king. He has criticized theory of idea. Plato is idealist, he is pragmatic. Plato has used deductive approach, he has used inductive approach. You understand the difference between inductive and deductive approach? हाँ पूछ लो यार, क्योंकि ये क्वेश्चंस आ जाते हैं इंडक्टिव डिडक्टिव अप्रोच. ओके, सो डिडक्टिव अप्रोच इज like you are giving your idea without any empirical backing of that. Armchair theories. In the night you decided to sit on the that rotating chair, okay, and you started writing something without having any empirical backing of that. This is called deductive. When you are analyzing the things, when you are reading 150 constitutions, and then you are saying something, this is called inductive approach. Right, giving some idea after doing empirical investigations is called inductive approach. Okay, so there are approaches in the syllabus. Paper 1, how many approaches we have done? Philosophical, historical, empirical, legal, institutional, then behavioral revolution, modern approaches. So empirical approaches paving the way for scientific approaches. ठीक है ना? देखो, write a short note on Aristotle's idea of golden mean. short note on Aristotle's idea of golden mean. पहले रिवाइज किया है, कुछ याद है? लिख पे। चलो यही बता दो, इन विच ऑफ हिज आइडियाज रिफ्लेक्ट्स हिज प्रिंसिपल ऑफ गोल्डन मीन? थ्योरी ऑफ प्रॉपर्टी एंड थ्योरी ऑफ कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन. Which kind of, out of three systems of property, which system of property he has supported? Individual ownership, common use. This system of property comes closer to the idea of Gandhi's trusteeship, where you hold property, where you do hold private property, but you consider it as a, you are a trustee. Okay, you will consider it as that you need to work for the benefit of society. Based on this corporate social responsibility in the present times, individual ownership, common use, okay, reflects his principle of golden mean, and polity is a mean between oligarchy and democracy. ठीक है ना? So for him, his theory of constitution and his theory of property reflects the principle of golden mean. ठीक? Yes. We can say that in the end, it is very closer to the Buddhist Madhya mark. ठीक है ना? Avoidance of extremes. Can we going to write in this a line about Plato? While Plato is radical or perfectionist, Aristotle is more pragmatic and he believes in golden mean. Okay. Because Plato was first communist and first feminist. Critically evaluate. So, do you think answer would have been different if the question is Plato was first communist and first feminist, comment? Do you think answer would have been different? नहीं. Answer could have been different a bit. अभी पहले सोचो इसको कैसे करोगे? Critically evaluate. क्योंकि क्या डिफरेंस आएगा? Critically evaluate. नहीं, critically evaluate and comment में do you think there will be any difference? In negative कैसे? मतलब कैसे? Plato was first communist and first feminist. Comment. So in comment you will write his idea of communism, why he is seen as the first communist, and his idea that he was open for the education of the girl. It was a radical idea of his time that women do not suffer from any kind of inequality. Okay, and he was open for the idea of philosopher queen. Comment to guess, that's why he is known as first feminist. Now it is critically evaluate or critically analyze. Critically analyze, though few scholars have reading the work of the Plato, they have come to this conclusion that the roots of communism lies in the works of Plato, but with whom we associate the idea of communism? Marx. Despite he being feminist, there is a question mark on his intention of being feminist, because feminists are interested in the emancipation of the woman. Was he interested in the emancipation of women, or his idea's objective was to make Athens great? Athens great. Do we going to write these things in this answer? Yes, it is critically evaluate. So despite he being communist, question mark can be raised on he being communist and he being a feminist, because his objective was not women emancipation, his objective was to make Athens great. On what grounds he is different from his communism is different from Marxist communism? Very good. First, he advocated class, 3 class, while Marx was against classes, classless, stateless society. He supported state, he was against state. His communism was only for Gaussian class. Marx communism was for all and everyone. He said communism of family. Marx never talked about the communism of family. Any other idea? He was idealist, Marx was materialist. Yes, he's advocating peaceful means, Marx advocating violent means. So यहाँ पर critically evaluate है. So you will parallelly simultaneously put a question mark on he being communist and feminist. Comment, probably we could have skipped questioning his idea of communism and feminism. But when it is critically evaluated, you have to write that there's a big question mark on he being feminist, because his objective was never women emancipation, his objective was, his communism was only for the Gaussian class, not for the producing class, while Marx communism was for all, and Marx objective was classless, stateless society. ठीक है? Last year question attempt करना, critically analyze or critically examine Plato's theory of form. Critically analyze or examine Plato's theory of form. Basically, we have to analyze his theory of idea, that is reality is the shadow of idea. Do we need to write the theory reality is the shadow of idea, or we have to examine his theory, that is reality is the shadow of idea? Examine. We don't have to write reality is the shadow of idea, we have to examine that theory of idea. ठीक करो, लिखो, ट्राई करो. critically examine Plato's theory of idea or form. Introduction क्या हो सकता है? Plato is the father of political philosophy. He was the first person who said that knowledge of idea is superior to knowledge of matter. Or he took father of political philosophy, and his objective was to give the idea of ideal state. And he was influenced by the theory of he was influenced by Socrates' theory of knowledge, who for the first time said knowledge of idea is superior to knowledge of matter. ठीक है ना? ये आपका इंट्रो हो गया. Plato, father of political philosophy. Okay, under the influence of Socrates' theory of knowledge, gave the theory of idea, that is, reality is the shadow of idea. Through his theory of idea, he tried to give the idea of a just state. Through his theory of idea, he tried to give the idea of a just state. And according to Plato, we can understand idea only through reason. The just soul is only capable to understand the idea. Theory of जरूरत नहीं है theory of soul लिखने, बस इतना लिख देंगे that according to him who can understand the idea, just soul or soul of reason, or in other words to understand idea you need reason. ठीक, एक लाइन दे रहा हूं वो अपने पास लिख के रख लो. लिखो, this theory has been influential in Western philosophy. Has been influential in Western philosophy, shaping debates about metaphysics and ethics. ठीक है ना? Shaping debates about metaphysics and ethics. Metaphysics is beyond physics. Okay, beyond physical realm is metaphysical. लिखो, this theory offers a compelling explanation this theory offers a compelling explanation कहां पे, कौन सा? एक मिनट. This theory offers a compelling explanation of the limitation of our sensory perception that we cannot understand everything through our sense organs. We need what? We need reason. So this theory is giving a strong explanation, compelling explanation for this aspect that we cannot understand everything through our sense organs. ठीक. So now his theory of form, his theory of idea has faced criticism from whom? Aristotle, which I have already told, that nothing is beyond word. To understand idea, you need to look into matter. ठीक है ना? This is the critical analysis of the theory of forms or theory of idea. ठीक? You can only produce in reality, you can only produce this much in your mains exam. इससे ज़्यादा नहीं produce हो सकता. ठीक है ना? अगर आप सोचो आप perfect model answers लिख लोगे तो वो होना ही नहीं है. If you can produce this much also in your mains answers, you will get a very good score. लास्ट ईयर छोड़ दिया था, समझ नहीं आया था या कंफ्यूज हो गया था? थ्योरी ऑफ आइडियाज, थ्योरी ऑफ फॉर्म्स. लिखो एक क्वेश्चन. डिस्कस द एंड्यूरिंग इन्फ्लुएंस of Platonic idealism and Aristotelian empiricism on modern philosophical thought. Enduring influence of Platonic idealism and Aristotelian empiricism on modern philosophical thought. Near about you have to write the same which we have discussed under the theory of idea and its criticism by Aristotle's and the criticism imparted by Aristotle. Near about we have to write the same. What is critical analysis of theory of forms of Plato? What debate it started in the Western the line which you have written? जो लाइन अभी आपको लिखवाई थी, पढ़ना वो लाइन. In the last time, in the last class. In the last question. Compelling explanation. That everything you cannot understand through sense organs. You need reason. Normative ideas can only be understood through reason. And this is Aristotle's contribution. Sorry, this is Plato's contribution. Also one more line you have written. हाँ वो बोलो, पढ़ना वो लाइन. हाँ. So it is influential in the Western philosophy, shaping the debates on metaphysics and ethics. What are ethics? What is right? Okay. So all this is the contribution of what? Plato. इसलिए आपको क्वेश्चन लिखवाया. that language seems so difficult, but this exactly ये सबसे tough question है जो Plato पर आ सकता है. There cannot be more tougher question than this on Plato in your mains exam. ठीक. Now Aristotle's contribution, that everything is not beyond this world. There are so many things which are in this world. You need to understand material to understand idea. In his theory of constitution, he has gone for the study of more than 150 constitution. And empirical method opted by Aristotle, paving the way for scientific approaches under behavioral revolution. ठीक है. In this, no, but here there is no need. एक पैराग्राफ दे देता हूँ आपको. लिख लो. These two traditions have not only shaped our understanding of knowledge, reality and ethics. These two traditions have not only shaped our understanding of knowledge. Knowledge of idea is important, knowledge of matter is important. What is real, what we can see, or something beyond. And ethics, what is ethical. But have also fostered a dialectic. Fostered a dialectic that continues to derive intellectual progress. ऐसे कुछ conclusions याद रख लो which you can fit in wherever need arise. ठीक है ना, मैं तो ऐसे ही करता था, कुछ चीजें याद रखी हुई थी, conclusions इंडिया यूएस मैं लिखवाऊंगा आगे, और जब पेपर 2 में जाएंगे डायनेमिज्म में, few important lines and pointers which you can fit in everywhere where we can, the way I told you in the beginning how to impart good structure. So if the question is like this, what are the reasons for problems, जैसे कोई ऐसा question आ जाए, reasons for problems, when we have to analyze from the broader perspective of some issue, instantly think what should come in your mind. What can be the geographical factors, what can be historical factors, what can be socio-cultural, economic, technical and political reasons. And these many, you can, if you write one point also in these big set of factors, it will impart a very good structure to your answer. GS में तो बहुत help करेगा ये, है ना. लिखो. That continues to drive the intellectual progress. Full stop. The legacy of Plato and Aristotle is a testament to the lasting impact of their ideas. Even in the present times. Last on Plato and Aristotle, देखो Plato as an enemy of open society. Or I hope you remember the quote, Plato's political program. I'm not remember I have given you this quote in the class or not. Plato's political program is far from morally superior to fascism. Comma, is exactly identical to it. Who has given this quote? Karl Popper. Both these quotes are given by Popper. Plato as an enemy of open society, and Plato's political program is far from being morally superior to fascism, comma, is exactly identical to it. Can you frame an answer for this question, Rajveer? पॉपर का क्या आएगा? ठीक है, उसने डायलेक्टिक के थ्रू जस्टिस को डिराइव किया, बाद में डायलेक्टिक को ही सप्रेस कर दिया अपनी स्टेट में, और ठीक है, or why Plato is an enemy of open society. He has criticized this. He has criticized Plato in his first book, volume 1, Open Society and His Enemies. In his second volume, he has criticized whom? Hegel and Marx. Very good. पता होगा ये बात. First, you will define what is open society. First, define करोगे open society क्या? What is open society? आदित्य, याद नहीं है अभी. ये तो जो ओपन सोसाइटी लग रही है क्लास, क्यों लग रही है ये ओपन सोसाइटी? क्या? हु सिटीजन? ओपन सोसाइटी इज वन वेयर पीपल एंजॉयज द फ्रीडम ऑफ स्पीच एंड एक्सप्रेशन. ठीक है ना? सो विच वन इज द ओपन सोसाइटी वेयर पीपल एंजॉयज द फ्रीडम ऑफ स्पीच एंड एक्सप्रेशन. सो फर्स्ट तो यही लिखना है. Okay, the open society according to Popper is one where people enjoy freedom of speech and expression, right? Where people have the freedom to live as per their own preferences. Then where education is not indoctrination. ये तीन बातें करी हैं पॉपर ने, याद रखना. Might be मैंने आपको क्लास में बताया होगा, but नहीं तो फिर भी याद रख लो. Three things which has been said by Popper, that which one is an open society? Society where there is freedom of speech and expression. Second, where people have the freedom to live as per their own free will, as per their own preferences, rather than the arbitrary dictates of one person. And third, where education is not indoctrination. So in Plato's state, education becoming indoctrination. Why? Because it's a state control of education. ठीक है ना? So state control of state funded education तो ठीक है, बट स्टेट कंट्रोल एजुकेशन का प्रॉब्लम क्या है? ये आप जीएस से भी कनेक्ट कर सकते हो. ओके, स्टेट फंडिंग ऑफ एजुकेशन इज फाइन, बट स्टेट कंट्रोल एजुकेशन कैन लीड टू इंडॉक्ट्रिनेशन. ठीक है ना? सो ये लाइन लिख लो. दस ओपन सोसाइटी इंडिकेट्स अ लिबरल डेमोक्रेटिक सोसाइटी. Indicates a liberal democratic society. And since these features are not available, or these features are not there in Plato's ideal state, hence Popper called Plato as an enemy of open society. अभी करेंगे वो बात. As these features are not being found in the ideal state of Plato, that is why he is being tagged as an enemy of open society. Online students, you can see me or not? I am visible or not?
Yes, sir.
I am. Okay. ठीक है. Then हम इसमें नहीं लिख रहे, हम सीधा पॉपर का लिख रहे हैं. इसमें एरिस्टोटल का नहीं आएगा. Aristotle is critic of philosopher king, but here we are writing Plato as an enemy of open society, Karl Popper. ठीक है ना? So why Popper is saying him as an enemy of open society? ठीक है? Other than this, Popper has criticized Plato for गिल्ट ऑफ होलिसिज्म पता है शिवानी? होलिसिज्म, होलिज्म, HOLISM, that Plato has committed the guilt of holism. पता है? What is guilt of holism committed by Plato according to Popper? What, Sakshi? हाँ, that he has tried to change everything in one go. Piecemeal social engineering, ये word याद रखना है. That according to Popper, piecemeal social engineering is a better way to change, while Plato is going for holistic change, one go में, ठीक है ना? He is trying to change everything in one go, and that is why he is committing the guilt of holism. And Plato's philosophy does not pass the test of falsification. ये दो याद रखनी है बातें. It does not pass the test of falsification. ठीक है? Anything, any doubt, any question on Aristotle? पता चल गया एरिस्टोटल के बारे में सारा. Authority of statesman is not same as that of father, and this will be criticized by feminists because he separated personal from political, and feminists demanded personal is political. ठीक? What are the grounds on which Aristotle criticizes Plato? ये याद रखने हैं. Why Aristotle is known as pragmatic? बाकी आप सब लिख लोगे. ठीक? अब मैं आपको थ्योरी ऑफ कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन नहीं पढ़ा रहा हूं इसलिए. आई एम श्योर यू कैन. हिज थ्योरी ऑफ प्रॉपर्टी, हिज थ्योरी ऑफ स्लेवरी, हिज थ्योरी ऑफ justice. What is justice according to Aristotle? And equals to be treated equally and unequals to be treated equally, and equals and unequals to not be treated equally. ठीक है ना? ये है ना उसकी बात. But before that, what are the two dimensions of justice according to Aristotle? Distributive and remedial and rectificatory. In both we need to use, in both we need the idea of the principle of proportion. Okay, that we need to use the idea of proportion. That's why theory of justice is known as theory of proportionate justice, in which proportion we need to distribute resources, in which proportion we need to give remedial measures. Remedial measure based on the nature of punishment, and distribution in proportion to the contribution. Equals to be treated equally, and equals and unequals should never be treated equally. But his idea of justice is seen as injustice in the present time because he made merit as the criteria, and merit is subjective, and the state of India can go for affirmative action. And in the recent time we have seen a debate that whether this affirmative action is a affirmative action or a populist measure. So it should not be a populist measure, it should only be a affirmative action. It should only lead to positive discrimination, it should not go for reverse discrimination, beyond which according to judiciary it will start reverse discrimination beyond a 50% reservation. That's why 50% of ceiling. ठीक है. Done. Right, one question. Critically analyze. अब ये लिखना पूरा. Critically analyze. एक आंसर तो लिख लो चलो. Critically analyze Aristotle's theory of citizenship. देखो एग्जाम में थ्योरीज नहीं आएंगी, रॉल्स थ्योरी ऑफ जस्टिस नहीं आएगी, एनालिसिस ही आएगा. क्रिटिकली एनालाइज एरिस्टोटल्स थ्योरी ऑफ सिटीजनशिप इन मॉडर्न कॉन्टेक्स्ट. क्रिटिकली एनालाइज एरिस्टोटल थ्योरी ऑफ जस्टिस इन मॉडर्न कॉन्टेक्स्ट। यूनिवर्सिटी में क्या लिखा है, थ्योरी ऑफ सिटीजनशिप पे ऐसे लिखे हैं, है ना, यही डिफरेंस है यूनिवर्सिटी एग्जाम एंड यूपीएससी एग्जाम। That is why those who just keep writing university exam not able to write good answers in UPSC. UPSC is understanding and analytical. Theory of citizenship को रटना आसान है, but present context में कितना valid है, this is what UPSC is. Aditya, any scholar who is influenced by Aristotle's theory of citizenship, let him speak. अभी याद नहीं, फिर लिखेगा क्या, ठीक है, कुछ चीजें याद है वो लिख रहा है, बट ये बहुत अच्छा आंसर होगा अगर ये बात याद नहीं है तो नहीं। ठीक है, ऋतुजा याद है, नहीं है, समझ गई क्या करना है, सब कुछ याद करना है, ठीक है। चलो, चिशी, which scholar is influenced by Aristotle's theory of citizenship? ठीक है, साक्षी ने आंसर दे दिया चैट बॉक्स में। चलो, तुम तो मेंस लिख लिया ना, तुझे तो याद होना चाहिए, एक मेंस के बाद सब याद हो जाता है। लिखो आंसर, ट्राई टू फ्रेम एन आंसर। जो कह रहे हैं कि दो प्री के बाद भी याद हो जाता है, प्री के बाद याद नहीं होता है, मेंस प्रिपरेशन करने से याद होता है, और ये सही तरीका है, करते रहो मेंस प्रिपेयर, प्री तो हो जाएगा जब होना होगा, यू विल गेट प्री क्लियर वेन एवर द टाइम कम, बट डू नॉट let your guards down, keep preparing for main. This is what my experiences, our experiences, you ask anyone who has been very serious in this preparation, whether been selected or been rejected, ठीक है ना। So in the end it is about sticking to the process, either quit the preparation or do not lower your guard, just keep preparing, यही एक तरीका। कुछ नहीं आ रहा दिमाग में, ब्लैंक है, सोच कुछ, बैकग्राउंड है तेरा पीएसआर का, कुछ तो लिख, कैसे हो यार। Do write a bit clear. What you can do is, after writing the answers, you can take the click and share on the group, and you can read each other's answer. And I'm also going to read your answers. ठीक है ना, एक तो मैं पढ़ूंगा सबका, फिर मैं बता दूंगा how far you are, how close you are. So कैसे start करें? लिखना is the most difficult thing. Critically analyze Aristotle's theory of citizenship in the modern concept. First, do we remember his theory of citizenship? Do we remember just solely and just sanguine? We remember this? तो कैसे लिखें जब याद ही नहीं है ना? So लिखेंगे तो तब ना जब याद होगा. So who is citizen? First thing I told you, he is considering the people of his state as citizen or subjects. Citizen. Plato subjects कर रहा है. They do not have rights, they have duties. He is saying that you need to participate and deliberate and rule of law. Who will make law? You make law. So you have rights. Their people do not have rights. Their only right is of whom? Philosopher, king. आ गया समझ में? Here people have rights. Who? Not all have rights. Only Greek-born male citizens having property. ज्यादा है? ठीक है. What is the criteria? Two principles: just solely and just sanguine. On the basis of birth and on the places of birth. ठीक. नहीं भी याद आता एग्जाम में, कोई पहाड़ नहीं टूटना. This is the best thing of mains. I always felt mains is easy than pre. Pre is very dicey, very difficult and more unpredictable these days. ठीक है. मेंस में आप दो बातें भूल भी गए तो स्काई विल नॉट फॉल, बट प्री में तो नहीं आता तो हो गया खत्म, दो क्वेश्चन इधर उधर हो गए. तो प्री इज मच मोर डाइसी. ठीक है. सो आप भूल गए जस्ट सोली जस्ट सेकंड. ये तो याद है ना, ग्रीक बॉर्न मेल सिटीजन्स होल्डिंग प्रॉपर्टी, वो लिख दिया बस. ठीक. सो फर्स्ट थिंग, व्हाट इज सिटीजनशिप? सिटीजनशिप इज अ लीगल स्टेटस बिटवीन मैन एंड द स्टेट. डू यू हैव रिटन दिस लाइन? पहले सिटीजनशिप डिफाइन करो. सिटीजनशिप इज अ लीगल स्टेटस बिटवीन man and state where citizens have certain rights and privileges. ठीक है ना. प्लेटो की स्टेट में सिर्फ ड्यूटीज थी, यहाँ राइट्स हैं या प्रिविलेजेस हैं. ऐसे आंसर राइटिंग होगी स्टेप बाय स्टेप. एक दिन का काम नहीं है आंसर राइटिंग, और करते रहो ये दिसंबर तक. ये भूल जाओ प्री नहीं हुआ, जिनका पढ़ते रहो उसको. ओके. where citizens will have certain privileges, and then Aristotle has proposed two principles: just solely, just sanguine. ठीक है ना. Then according to Aristotle, citizenship is not just a legal status, it is duty towards the state. So citizenship is not just a legal status, it is a duty towards the state, and those who can't do this duty, they are not eligible to be citizens. And then he didn't consider whom as citizens: women, slaves, old people, kids, children. Children do not have the cognitive faculties, old people can't do their duties. Didn't consider women and didn't consider slaves as citizens. ठीक. In contemporary times, we do not accept his idea of citizenship. His idea of not considering giving citizenship to women and slaves is seen as retrogratory, okay, demeaning, and this has been rejected. But despite this, this has been accepted that yes, citizenship do come with what? Duties. And his idea was later taken by one of the scholar in the contemporary time, that is Hannah Arendt, in civic republicanism. यही आंसर होगा. अब लैंग्वेज का गेम है कि आपको कितनी याद है. स्ट्रक्चर तो यही है. So he describes citizen as a person who takes part in deliberative or judicial affairs of the state. ये लिखना है, लिख लो. He considers citizen as a person who takes part in the deliberative or judicial affairs of the state. So he excluded, you know whom he excluded? So his theory of citizenship appears derogatory, conservative in the context of the modern times. ठीक है ना. So vocabulary will help you a lot to frame answers. His theory of citizenship is considered as derogatory and conservative in the modern times. Now I hope you know conservative means. With respect to his views on women and slaves. ठीक है ना? Why it is derogative and conservative? Okay, with respect to his views on slaves and women. ठीक? Last lines, despite criticism, his theory is relevant as citizenship is a duty and it is not just a legal identity. नहीं नहीं यार, गर्मी इतनी हो रही है. It emphasized on the participation in the affairs of the state. ठीक है, participation of the state. And in the contemporary time, it has been emphasized by Hannah Arendt through civic republicanism, his concept of civic republicanism. Clear? I've shared a PDF on the group, the compilation of the previous year questions, a quick glance of the questions on Plato and Aristotle. Different? There is only one group. You are the part of the group or not? Just ping me on WhatsApp then. You have my number? Ping me. Third question for Aristotle. Comment on Aristotle's conception of equality. Uday, I have shared the link. You can add. Can you answer this question, which I asked? Aristotle conception of equality. So just focus on previous year questions. There is no need to develop the fear of any FOMO. ठीक है ना? पहले तो ये बिल्कुल नहीं करना, यहाँ छूट जाए, वो कर लें, वो पढ़ लें, जो है वो ही याद कर लो, बहुत है. ठीक. explain, comment on Aristotle's conception of equality. His conception of equality, he do not believe in equality, he believes in natural inequality. आया था ये पॉइंट दिमाग में? क्यों कंफ्यूज हो रहे हो? वहां पे आप सोचो यार ये तो इक्वालिटी की बात ही नहीं कर रहा था. His conception equality is not all are equal, and Greeks are believer of natural inequality. Neither Plato was the believer of equality, neither Aristotle was the believer of equality. He said nature creates two type of people, masters and slaves. This is his conception of equality. And state should not try to treat equals and unequals equally. This is injustice and it will lead to revolution. ये लिखोगे या नहीं? ठीक है? This is his conception of equality. Okay? Let's see the points, what you can write, how you will start. आप कैसे स्टार्ट करोगे इसे? ये तो आपको देखो फ्रेमवर्क बताया ना. Now you have to fill it with the words and the sentences. This is the framework. What you will say? Equality as a value is a equality as a value emerged during. What you will write? Equality as a value emerged during when? Modern times. ये नहीं लिखोगे. Equality as a value emerged in the modern time. As in the ancient times, notion of natural inequality was prevailing. Who was the first flag bearer of equality? Liberals. But later it became socialist who became the, if it is 250 words then you will write this, if it is 150 words then you will not write this. Later it became the socialist who became the flag bearer of equality, and they said liberals equality is just procedural equality, ours is substantive. अब आ जाओ यहाँ पर after this, ठीक है ना? So first you will define equality. Equality is a value which emerged during modern times, and you can write Dawkins said it's a sovereign virtue. If they will give you to write 200 or 250 marks, what 2 words, what we can do? Technically it should be 150 words. What I said earlier, that he was not a believer of equality. They believe in natural inequality. Will you write Plato? Even Plato was not a believer of equality. He said people born with different soul and they have different elements. Okay? And in fact, you can say even Machiavelli said ruler prince needs to be clever like fox, and not everyone has these traits. Any enterprising person can become this, but to become this you need these traits. So they all considered that these are the important traits to become the ruler of the state. As according to Plato, king needs to have reason. According to Aristotle, masters have reason and slaves do not have reason. And even Machiavelli is believing prince needs to be clever like fox, reason. So they all consider the important quality to become the ruler is that you should hold reason. हाँ, for Machiavelli करते हैं. For Machiavelli didn't believe in the hereditary prince. Because that is why he is a scholar of Renaissance. Okay, he was against feudalism, and feudalism as a principle based on birth, and that is why he is a scholar of capitalist emerging bourgeois class, and he said any enterprising person can become prince. ठीक? So third is Machiavelli. कोई और क्वेश्चन प्लेटो एरिस्टोटल का? अभी फर्स्ट क्वेश्चन छोड़ देना, प्लेटो का करेंगे बाद में. So even if we sit at home, keeping our notes and making the structure, well frame structure for these questions, I'm assuring you, you will be able to address any question which will come in the mains. Only thing is you need to have pointers and structures in your mind. Okay? So Machiavelli, scholar of, true child of Renaissance. Who said this? Lusky. What is Renaissance? Rebirth of humanism. Why we are saying rebirth? Because medieval time was the age of religion. Everything was driven through the lens of religion. Church dominating all aspects of life. Machiavelli, first one to separate church from religion from politics. And this makes him the father of European secularism. Okay? This does not make him the first modern political thinker. There is a debate on this. Machiavelli is a scholar of Renaissance. Who is the first modern political thinker? Hobbes, because he has given the theory of sovereignty. What is the most important element of a state? Sovereignty. Who is ending the confusion of two swords? Where power lies? Hobbes. So Hobbes is known as the first modern political thinker, while Machiavelli is a child of Renaissance. He's saying that prince can be any enterprising person. Because he's saying prince can be any enterprising person, this makes him the scholar of capitalist class. He's saying prince need not to be a hereditary prince. Prince need not to be a hereditary prince. Just a second. So So, what is the favorite form of government for Machiavelli? Monarchy. So, Machiavelli's preference is monarchy, though he is not saying that monarchy to be a hereditary prince. Anyone can become monarch. His preference is monarchy, wherever possible. ठीक है ना? So, where people are corrupt, he has suggested that there should be rule of prince, there should be monarchy. ये बात लिख लो अपने पास, ये हम डेमोक्रेसी में यूज करेंगे. So he is saying where people are corrupt, there should be rule of prince, there should be monarchy. So again you can see if corruption there, then there should be monarchy. Plato has also said the same. ठीक है ना? While where people are virtuous, having civic sense, then he has recommended republic. Do you think in India people are virtuous, having civic sense? So in the terminology of Machiavelli, which rule is better for India? Monarchy, not republic. ठीक है ना? So he said wherever possible, wherever necessary, लिखो line, wherever necessary, monarchy, wherever possible, republic, but in no situation, aristocracy or oligarchy. as he has not preferred the rule of feudal lord. He has not preferred the rule of feudal lords. And Machiavelli is again two classes. One, Machiavelli was against the institution of church. Sorry, Machiavelli was against two things. One, feudal lords, and second, the institution of church. Church was involved in corruption and church was playing feudal lords with each other, which is preventing the rise of Italy. Okay. What was the objective of Machiavelli? Unification and to make Italy great. Okay. Machiavelli has looked towards which methods? So, according to Machiavelli, prince should have the knowledge of philosophy or prince needs to have knowledge of something else. Who said this? Until unless philosophers become the rulers or rulers will not learn philosophy, predicaments of human life will never end. Plato. So what Machiavelli is recommending to the prince? What prince needs to learn? History and human psychology. ठीक है ना, याद रखना है बात. So according to him, prince should have the knowledge of history and human psychology. And he has also relied on empirical method, observation. See the human nature as it is, not as ought to be. ठीक है. So if Plato has dealt with the philosophy, his emphasis is on statecraft. What is statecraft? How to govern the state, how to run the state. One definition of statecraft is this: how to run the state or govern the state, or management of power, how to manage power. So it was he who separated religion from politics, church from the state. In religion, church will be supreme. In the sphere of politics, state will be supreme. Because he is separating church from the state, this makes him the father of European secularism. Okay, where state will not interfere in the affairs of church. There is a difference in our model of secularism and European secularism. Here, equal respect to all religion. There, state will not interfere in the affairs of religion. So he is the child of Renaissance. He is a father of European secularism. But who is the first modern political thinker? Hobbes. Because he has given the theory of sovereignty. ठीक. So what are the prominent ideas of Machiavelli? What is the nature of the field of politics? So according to him, what is the nature of this field? Nature of this field is, so if you are entering into politics, you need to understand the nature of politics, what type of profession it is. So according to him, politics is not ethics. ठीक है? It is not an inspiring field, but it is what it is. ठीक? And according to him, we need to see the things the way they are. What is, not what ought to be. One who compromises for ought will end up not only hurting the national interest, but also going to hurt himself or herself. You all know who did that in Indian context? Nehru. Okay, and he accepted, I was living in the world of ideas. ठीक? So for him, we should not try to find goodness in this profession, and we need to see the things the way they are. So politics is not ethics. He separated politics from ethics, and this makes him father of realism. ठीक है ना? Greeks never separated good life from good political life. For them, ethics and politics are linked. ठीक? What we are doing in our day-to-day life, we need to do the same in political life. But here, political ethics and private ethics are different, and this is this concept of dual morality. For him, prince should be beyond his religious beliefs. Prince should be beyond his or her personal ethics, right? And prince only concern is fulfillment of national interest, and this makes him prophet of nationalism. ठीक? This makes Machiavelli the prophet of nationalism. His concept of dual morality. And for him, end justify means. And this is known as Machiavellianism. ठीक है ना? So political standards to be justified by, political action should be justified by political standards. And politics has its own language and politics has its own ethics. ठीक? तो एक काम करते हैं. Do revise your Machiavelli, Hobbes, Locke, Mill, and we'll resume our discussion tomorrow, same time. ठीक? At 3 o'clock. We'll make sure ACs should start working by that time. हाँ? अभी कुछ first few lectures I'll take, because I'm taking it here. I'll give you the news. So it will be 3 to 5. Then I'll extend the timing from 3 to 5:30. Okay. So this is how we are going to complete the things. ठीक? Will it work for you guys? ठीक है आयुष. ओके ऑनलाइन स्टूडेंट्स. हाँ संदीप, मैं अभी दोबारा भेज देता हूँ. यू आर द पार्ट ऑफ द ग्रुप. There is an you have joined the crash course group, Sandeep?
No, sir, I did not join.
See, this is the class which was open for all. It is something like this. You guys you are from July batch, right? So you guys will not be able to, I can't give you the access of the app. You will not going to get the recorded lectures. Okay. So if you want to get the recorded lectures, you want to get the access of the app, you have to join this crash course group, crash course batch. Okay. So you can ping me individually. I'll add you. Okay. हाँ जी. What is possible to get? What, Chishi? Recorded for today's lecture. No. All these lectures will be recorded. You will get the access. Those who have joined, you will get the access of the recorded lectures. Just call Weber sir. He is taking care of the app and the technical thing. He will help you out. Okay. हाँ. All those who have joined it, they will get the access of the app. You will have the credentials, and any issue you can contact Weber sir. Okay. See you guys tomorrow at 3. Huh? ठीक है.